Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dion here with Dion's Daily Dose, and today's coffee break with my buddy Jim. There he is. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, morning.
Yeah, we got a little. Cameron's a
Little haze,
a little grubby.
little Sybil shut.
Yeah, here. Yeah, sorry about that. There we go. Much better. Yeah. Okay. So, how was work?
It was work.
Yeah. For those of you who may not be aware of the way this works, I got to get my ass up early. Jim, on the other hand, is just getting off of work and has graciously agreed to be here. So today's topic is something I've kind of been wanting to talk about for a while, in its various forms, but essentially the rise of commercialism in the prepper community, or prepping in general. I have some interesting stats that I was able to look up and get information on that I think you'll find interesting.
Well, if there's one thing I love, it's statistics.
Exactly. But no, this is actually interesting, at least to me.
Well, you know that like 28.6% of all statistics are made up.
Right.
Including that one.
I thought it was like 94%. No, but are you familiar with the Twitter, well, X, AI Grok?
No.
You heard of it? Okay. Well, they got their own AI that they invested in, and to be fair, at least it's not as ridiculous as some of the other ones. But anyway, it's useful for things like this, where it's like, hey, what's this information, right?
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that let's see, I got to find it. It's from a larger conversation, but so I actually, well, first I asked Grok, I said, can you provide some examples of the commercialization of the prepper community, right? And Grok said, absolutely, I'd be delighted to provide some examples, blah, 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 blah. It seems like preppers have become a hot market for businesses looking to capitalize on the need, right? Dried food and first aid kits. One company is raking in over $300 million a year selling dried food and first aid kits.
Sounds about right.
300 million, dude. That's a lot of money.
It doesn't happen to mention which one, does it?
Let's see here. It doesn't specifically say, but I do have the names of several others. I'm not sure if that's the one. The Prep Masters. This company is empowering individuals with essential preparedness resources. They're probably thinking, why wait for the end of the world when you can start preparing today with our kits and guides? Personal survival kits and SHTF family emergency kits.
Mm-hmm.
Some folks are offering custom-made survival kits, ranging from micro personal survival kits to family emergency kits with 28 meals, radios, reference manuals, and tools.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, we've got the perfect package for your impending doom.
Yeah. And just, if anybody doesn't know what SHTF stands for.
Yeah, shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
are we past our 30 seconds? We can say that?
I think so. I think it's just the F word. But ultimately, I don't really care. Backpacking and camping gear. Companies are also marketing their products. But here's where it gets more interesting, because you gotta play with the AI prompt a little bit and get a little deeper. It said, can you expand on how the prepper community has expanded commercially in recent years? So it says, it seems like the prepper community has been quite busy with various ventures and expansions popping up like mushrooms after a rainstorm. One notable example is the Survival and Prepper Show held at the fairgrounds in Boulder County, a liberal district that voted for President Joe Biden. Resident Joe Biden in 2020 by nearly 57%. This event showcases the diversification of the prepper culture with attendees from various backgrounds coming together, blah, 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 blah. Another interesting development is the rise of prepper communities in the mountains. Have you heard of these? Where people have moved to live almost completely out of sight and mind. These communities focus on self-sufficiency with activities like subsistence hunting, fishing, and building greenhouses for produce. It's like they're living in their own little prepper paradise, far away from the hustle and bustle of the modern world. Have you heard of these?
No, I have not.
I hadn't either. I had heard rumors, but I didn't have anything firm, right? There's actually one here in Indiana that I discovered. And do you remember a few years back, they put up that old Strategic Air Command base here in Indiana? This was a decade plus ago. I mean, this many years ago. And it was for sale for like $10,000. You remember it?
No, I don't remember it.
Okay. There was, so before they built Cheyenne Mountain, right? Indiana was one of the alternative sites for relocation of government, right? Cold War. I mean, we're talking the 70s and 80s, right?
Right.
So they built this massive underground complex that could withstand a 30 megaton direct hit.
Okay.
This, like I said, was many years ago. It was for sale. The government was auctioning it off, right? And it was like 10 grand. Had I had $10,000 at the time, I would have totally gotten it. But what I read was that a company bought it, right? Well, the company, at least their current iteration, is called Terra Vivos. Have you heard of them?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, Terra Vivos. So the backup plan for humanity. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about here. Let's see here. There it is. Okay. We don't need audio, at least for now. So this is the Global Shelter Network, Vivos Global Shelter Network, aka Vault Tech, dude. It's Vault Tech. Now, for those people with any familiarity with Fallout, whether the TV show, the series, Vault Tech is an interesting company that was, let's say, ethically challenged, right? How much, you know a little bit about Fallout, but you never really dove. You watched the series.
I did watch the series. Good series, by the way. I highly recommend it.
I am working my way through it. I was very, very hesitant as a Fallout purist. I played every single Fallout game, loved them. I was very, very about watching it, but after Jim said, I saw it. It's great. Watch it.
I watched it twice.
Which is saying something, because you don't have a whole lot of time for TV and stuff like that.
Right. Especially anything that, I want to pay attention to.
Right. Yeah. And putting something on in the background is one thing, but actually focusing on it. So the backup plan for humanity is what they say. Secure your space in a Vivos underground shelter to survive virtually any catastrophe. So I looked around you can apply for membership. There are various locations, right? Vivos shelters are being built worldwide. Of course they are.
Yeah, of course they are.
If you scroll down, you see Vivos X Point, Vivos, Indiana, immediate space available. Apparently some people, I don't know whether they left or, whatever, the Indiana one, but there's suddenly spaces available. It is not bad, dude. I looked at it. I'm going to show you. It's pretty cool. But before we get into that, because I think that's going to take up
every place looks good on a real estate page.
Well, of course, yeah. But all things considered, have you noticed, I know I have you noticed how much more expensive, obviously everything's growing, the economy sucks, FJB, it is what it is. But prepping in particular, I have noticed a rise in the costs associated with stockpiling, whether it's food, resources, whatever.
Right.
And it seems to it seems to gravitate more towards, like I said, commercialism versus.
Well, I mean, it's
selling
supply and demand, simple economics.
Okay, so do you think the supply, well, I should say the demand has increased recently?
Oh, the demand is certainly there, and they don't market it just for like apocalyptic situations like a nuclear winter or a invasion of the country,
Right.
Natural disasters, anything,
And that's something that I like to remind people when we're talking about prepping. We're not just saying, yeah, the U.S. is going to get invaded, or World War III, or
yeah, it's not limited to the tinfoil hat stuff.
Right. There's natural disasters.
Yeah.
There's
Hurricane Katrina, perfect example.
Hurricane Katrina is probably the best example I can give.
Hawaii, another
Hawaii
example.
is another one. Yeah, there are really, really solid reasons for making sure that your family is prepared. Right. And just so everybody knows, I don't have any stake in any of these companies. I'm not getting paid by anyone. Now, if you want to hook me up, give me a call, and you want to secure me a spot in this Vivos or something.
I'll be a brand ambassador.
Right. Especially for something cool like this. But I have seen,
looking at you, four Patriots.
Right. Yeah. What's the other? There's another one that's always on YouTube. Oh God, I can't think of it. Four Patriots is probably the single one that comes to mind. We're talking about like all these prepping commercials and stuff, but there are several out there. Is Four Patriots the one that has the generator?
They have everything.
Yeah,
but the solar generator, that's a big one. They're
I'm not gonna lie, man. I looked at it.
Their emergency food supplies. I mean, just all kinds of things. If it involves prepping, they've got, it's pretty one-stop shop.
Right. It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty all-inclusive, I should say, as far as your the stuff that you need.
Yeah.
Right. The stuff that you need. But we've seen. It used to be a lot more of a niche. Just.
Oh yeah. You would go to, your Army surplus store and, buy your, surplus canteens. If you could find some old MREs, great.
Right. Whatever happened to the surplus stores, man? They used to be all over. You can't really find, I guess probably the rise of the internet.
Yeah, the internet. I mean, brick and mortar is, it's not just the surplus stores. It's, where'd the malls go?
Right.
Yeah,
no kidding. It's just sad because more than going there to acquire the stuff that they sold, I used to love the aesthetic and the the dark ambiance and the almost very utilitarian feel
of it.
Yep, the empty ammo cans stacked there.
Yeah, the 50 cal ammo cans. Everything's made out of OSB. Handwritten, signage.
Right, yeah, the little cardboard signs with the Sharpie.
Some old guy who may or may not have all of his appendages.
Right. Yeah, usually missing.
Usually named like Sarge or
Gunny.
Yeah, Gunny.
Yep. Yeah, that was I remember just especially as a kid, man, just being captivated by this.
Buying iodine tablets and surplus Israeli gas masks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But now, of course, all that stuff's available at the fingertip, man. All you gotta do is look it up. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, a few keystrokes and
and there you go.
You're ready for the apocalypse.
Right. So with the rise, though, more mainstream acceptance of prepping as something beyond, like you said, the tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory segment. I think it's really opened the door for commercialism and basically companies doing it because they want to make money, not because they want to help people. Companies are always about making money.
Yeah, businesses are about making money. That's the long and the short of it. You're providing a service, and any good business would believe in the service they're providing, in theory.
That's, yeah. I think maybe that's a better.
And of course, as with anything else, you're going to get the grifters and, and what have you. The thing that gets me lately, you see the company selling the dried food, the freeze dried food,
yes,
and the solar generators and the water purification systems and yada 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 yada. Okay, what I've really noticed, and maybe it's just because of some of the searches I have made,
okay,
because they track everything,
oh yeah,
is the books.
Okay.
So every time you turn around, there's some publisher coming out with some book, the No Grid Survival Guide,
Yeah.
The Lost Ways, the Pioneer's Handbook,
Right.
just
The list goes on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Countless.
I don't have enough fingers and toes, and it's I kicked your camera again.
I got bags on it now.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw you got the
We're
little
almost
bags there.
Another, probably 300 or 400 pounds, and you can resist your big, meaty.
Hey, my feet are average.
Anyway, there's every time you turn around, there's another book or another resource or another
Right.
this.
And and have you ever gone to those websites with the books?
Mhm.
And it's like this long spiel. It's like they can't just like tell you how much the book is.
No.
They gotta go through this long spiel,
Yeah.
and you have to check availability because the supplies are limited and they're
Right.
going fast. And
Right.
we ran out the last time.
Mhm.
And nah. Yeah, it's the same tactic across the board. And you don't get to know what's in those books
Right.
until you get them.
Until you get it. Yep.
And okay, I understand.
Some of them,
You don't want to give away state secrets,
right.
because otherwise, who's going to buy
Who's
it?
going to buy the book? Yeah.
But like, I just can't help but wonder, and I haven't done a lot of research on this because they're not going to give me the books, and I don't have the money to buy them all.
Yeah.
How
So
much overlap there is, or just what I would call the category of information I call no shit.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There never seems to be a shortage of.
Now, I will say I did buy the No Grid Survival Projects.
Okay.
And it's not bad. There's some decent information in there. There's some fluff.
Okay.
There's always some fluff.
Right.
But that it has some decent information on how to purify water,
Okay. Which is incredibly useful skill. I mean,
it is, and it's not.
Which method?
It's a pretty standard.
Does it give several? Or
it's the pretty standard, sand, gravel, charcoal.
Right.
Because there's only so much you can do to purify water, without getting real fancy.
Yeah. I got and I recommend it. They got those. I guess there's brand names of them, but obviously there are knockoffs. Basically, the Life Straw.
Mm-hmm. I have a Life Straw as well.
Yeah, I bought a couple of them,
Mm-hmm.
stock them away, and just in case. And I actually did before I got it. I did some kind of deep dives into the various ones and whether they were any good.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the best one. Or
and you got to keep in mind with something like that you find some dirty creek water,
right?
It's probably going to be okay. You find a radiated water, there's not much that anything can do for you.
Yeah, we don't have Radaway in the real world, so
best you can hope for is iodine helps.
Yeah.
For
those who aren't aware, it's potassium iodine, though, right? It's a little different than your standard dropper full of iodine, right?
The iodine will do some stuff.
It does help.
Yeah, basically
the way that it works is it actually it fills. I can't remember the name of the gland in your body.
Your lymph nodes.
Lymph nodes. That's what it is. and it'll basically fill it with potassium so that the radiation can't
can't seep in.
Yeah,
And it's not foolproof. It's not going to, you know.
Yeah, you get radiated, you're going to get radiated.
Yeah.
But it's for that background radiation. For a little bit.
It helps. Everything you can do to help.
Yep. So there's a wealth of things out there. But one thing I do want to kind of drop in there that I asked Brock, and I'm gonna share it so you guys can see it, because I do think it's important. I said, can you provide examples of scams in the prepper community?
Mm-hmm.
And Brock says it seems like there are quite a few out there. One, dodgy food supplies. Some prepper supply companies are trying to sell you seeds to keep in your stash for later use.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is seeds have a shelf life and they might not sprout when you need them the most. It's like they're saying, hey, buy these seeds now, and in the event of an apocalypse, you can start your own garden.
Mm-hmm.
Or not.
Yeah.
Two, questionable supplements. And I was really glad that the fucking computer covered this, because that's something that I see a lot of. All these supplements, these wonder drugs that will just fix
that's a
everything.
whole nother topic right there.
Yeah. It says there are companies out there peddling supplements that promise to make you a superhuman prepper. But let's be honest, no pill is going to turn you into a real life Captain America.
Right.
It's like they're saying, take this pill and you'll be able to lift a car with one hand, or not.
Yeah. Just like there's no pill that's going to make your penis bigger.
Right. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. There's nothing to substantiate that. And that's interesting. You talk about the supplements.
Yeah.
Because even like in your day to day, and I'm not downing, the benefits of some multivitamins.
Sure.
But by and large, a lot of those multivitamins, that's why the percentages of the vitamins in there are so high, is because your body is just going to get rid of most of it.
Right.
If you're like,
as a matter of fact, like taking it orally is like the least effective way to get vitamins.
Especially if it's a pill. I hear that the gummies are a little better.
I heard the gummies are a little better. Sublingual drops.
Oh yeah,
are like some of the best, and also topical.
Yeah. The key is to try to bypass your kidneys.
Right. Now, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor.
No.
We're not giving medical advice. One of the things that I always say on this show, and I stand by it, is look into stuff. Like, seriously, we hear it a lot. Do your own research. But legitimately, look into the stuff. Read the reviews. Talk to people, especially if you have friends or family that have bought some of this stuff. Ask them, did it do what they said it would do? Because a lot of these supplements are, at best, just placebo, and at worst can actively harm you.
Right.
Let's see here. Okay, so overpriced prepper gear. There are all sorts of gadgets and gizmos marketed to preppers, from solar generators to bug out equipment. But be careful, because some of these items might be overpriced or of questionable quality.
Right.
It's like they're saying, buy our gear and you'll be the envy of all your prepper friends, or not.
Well, going on the solar generator thing, at least you'll see them all the time, those little tiny solar power banks.
Yeah, with the little fold out.
No, not even that. Just it's a little brick. It's like
and it's got the built-in. It's got like 3 little panels on it.
Yeah, I've done some reading up on that.
Okay.
And they're not very. I mean, they're a power bank.
Yeah.
You can charge them like any other power bank, and they're a battery.
Yeah.
The solar cell in there is not equipped to charge that in a timely fashion. You just can't do it. The size just doesn't.
It's just not. It's just not possible.
And especially for the price point, the solar technology is just not there.
Right.
It's just not. Speaking of the solar generators and the nil grid survival projects, not to pimp the book, but it's a decent book.
Okay.
Nobody's paying me to say that, by the way.
Although if you want to,
Yeah,
if you're the author,
I'll be a brand ambassador. They have a section on on building your own solar generator.
Okay.
And calculating how big of one you need.
Okay.
They'll give you the math that you have to do, like, what you want to power, and they'll give you examples, to give you a rough estimate of, if you want to run your fridge, how much power that's going to run you, a microwave, lights, this, that, the other. And then you plug it into this little math thing to figure out how many solar panels you need.
Yeah. And
how many batteries you're going to need, because you're not going to run straight off the sun. It does not happen.
Solar panel, harnessing solar power, the level of technology is just not there to enable direct.
It's coming a long way.
It is.
It's coming a long way, but at the end of the day, you're taking as much of that power as you can and storing it in the battery for use later.
Right.
If that battery is dead and you got to run off those solar cells, you're going to be woefully disappointed.
Yeah. It's just not going to do what.
Yeah, it's not. And if you're really in that kind of a situation, you really have to ask yourself, what do I really need?
Right.
What do I need to power right now?
Yeah.
And what can wait?
What can wait? Right.
Maybe you could learn to live without a fridge and a microwave.
Yeah. Which are both very, very power hungry appliances.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Massively.
For my own part, my power concerns are more along the lines of charging my power tools.
Right.
Because you're going to want to build things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
whether it's and even if, let's just say you have a shelter that's already ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to need to make some changes depending on the nature of the emergency that has you.
Well, even if you don't need to make changes, any place that you have is going to require upkeep.
Right.
Any homeowner will tell you, stuff breaks daily.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to be able to do those repairs. And if you have to, like, God forbid, you have to drill a hole, and all you got is that little.
Oh my God, dude. Which, you know what? I will say this: make sure you have a couple of those. Just the old school hand drill.
Yeah, but be realistic. If you're not in the physical condition to use that effectively, or if you don't have the know-how to use it effectively, then having it
doesn't do you
at best, maybe you've got something to trade.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too, and it's something that kind of I've thought about in depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
In an emergency situation, natural disaster, whatever, we've covered that. But in an emergency situation, oftentimes cash loses its value because what does that do, right?
Well, let's talk about that for a minute.
Commodities.
So, number one, how many people do you know carry large sums of cash?
Right. Especially anymore.
Everything's done on a card.
Yeah.
You lose power, you lose the internet.
Yeah.
That card is just a worthless hunk of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for a while, cash would be king.
Right.
Till people realize that that's worthless too.
Yep.
And you'll see another talking about commercialization.
Yeah.
People talk about, collect precious metals.
It's
precious
funny.
gold, silver.
Yeah. That's actually the next
when things get really hectic, those things aren't really what has value at that point is things you can use.
Exactly.
And having a bunch of gold isn't very useful.
Yeah, other than like gold is really useful for electronics and stuff like that, right?
Right.
But I mean, how many computers are you going to be building? How many iPhones are you going to be building? That's just unless
whatever electrical needs that you have, you can probably get away with a less expensive metal. Copper, for instance. Silver does have some uses.
It's got a few,
it isn't. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but silver does have a use medicinally.
Does it?
Oh yeah, especially like for burns.
Yeah.
It has
Like,
a certain.
take a bar and. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I genuinely don't know.
Kind of, yeah,
Oh,
kind of.
interesting.
But I haven't done a lot of research on that.
Yeah.
It's just some stuff I've heard here and there.
Right. Remember, this is not medical advice.
Yeah,
Because
I mean you can.
neither one of us
It's
are
easy.
doctors.
It's easy enough to find that
Yeah,
information.
I mean, look it up. But speaking of questionable financial advice, some prepper influencers might try to sell you on gold bars,
Mm-hmm.
supplements, or other investments, claiming they'll skyrocket in value. But let's be real, the only thing skyrocketing might be the price of snake oil. It's like they're saying, invest in our products and you'll be a millionaire prepper, or not. And the reality is that these things, whatever has value is whatever value is assigned to it.
Right.
Like
It's what everybody agrees the
Right.
value is.
Which is why the majority of games, Fallout being an example,
Mm-hmm.
regular currency is worthless. It has no value.
Yeah, their currency was like bottle caps.
Yep, caps. Because Nuka-Cola was everywhere in this, in the Fallout universe. So you could use them quite easily. It was something everybody
Mhm.
agreed on. But in general, the more realistic survival games use barter.
Right.
And that, I believe, is a realistic representation of the way things will be. Well,
barter always works.
Right. What do you got? I got
yeah.
ammo.
Yeah, you have something I need. I have something you need.
Yep.
We can make a deal. That is like universal
Yes.
since the beginning of time.
Mhm.
You you have a chicken. I have a wagon.
Right. Exactly. I think probably, though, the single most important component of any survival situation is network. Basically your group, right? If you have a tight-knit group of friends and allies that can help each other, your community is what's going to determine your survivability. In my opinion.
That there is merit to that.
So in the case of Katrina,
but
right.
also keep in mind in that in that context
Yeah.
that people get real ugly real quick.
Oh yeah, and that's why I mean it has to be a group that that has mutual trust.
Right.
Your standard like neighbors on your street that you may kind of sort of know, say hi to, when they get their mail. I don't trust them because they're going to look out for themselves.
Right.
Obviously, you and I have known each other for many, many years. I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have your own community of people that you trust in order to say, because Katrina, for example, right? The groups, the neighborhood, or the families, because that's really what it came down to was, mom, dad, sister, brother, 6 cousins, and,
right.
Grandpa Joe would come together and survive.
Right.
Whereas these other groups, not so much.
Mm-hmm. It's just it's just my personal opinion that, it's important to keep in mind, especially like the larger your little tribe is,
Another thing, yeah.
the more likely somebody's going to have that moment of weakness and become opportunistic.
Right. And that's
just human nature. Yes. That's not, it's not because they hold any animosity towards you or anything like that. They're disenfranchised. They're desperate.
Yeah.
And everybody's always looking for the better deal.
By about the third day, in the studies that they've done, about the third day without power is when things start coming off the rails. When people start acting out in purely unreasonable ways.
Right.
I mean, just in the context, looking at it later, they're like, I have no idea why I did that. But at the time, I thought this was what I needed to do in order to, keep my family alive or, to procure food.
Yeah.
And in the long term, it's like, yeah, that was a really stupid decision. I shouldn't have done that. But
and chalk it up to my cynicism. But if you wanna thrive in a community like that, be useful.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because we're going to cover the last little bit of this, and then I want to show you the Indiana version of this, the Vivo shelter. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the key points. Massive discounts for those with special skills.
Right.
Be useful. If you're useful, if you have special skills, put it this way, you're a lot lower on the target list because you're useful.
Yeah.
Whether you're, whether you excel at construction, engineering.
Yeah. You want to make it very inconvenient for you not to be around.
Precisely. So, questionable financial advice. And then number 5, misleading survival courses. There are also survival courses and training programs that promise to turn you into a master of the apocalypse. But be wary, because some of these courses might be more about making money than actually teaching you anything useful. It's like they're saying, take our course and you'll be the Bear Grylls of the apocalypse, or not. So that's just a few examples, right? So we looked at the Terra Vivos project, right? Here's the one in Indiana. And I'm not sure about this, but I suspect, based on the way that it's laid out, I suspect that this is that old Strategic Air Command base.
Right.
Because it says here, the ultimate Vivos shelter strategically located in Midwestern America with a minimum of 1 year of supplies. Vivos, Indiana is one of the most fortified nuclear hardened shelters within our network, located within a 1-day drive from anywhere in the Midwest and the eastern seaboard of America. Built during the Cold War to withstand a 20 megaton blast, I think I said 30, 20 megaton blast, within just a few miles, this impervious underground complex accommodates up to 80 people for a minimum of 1 year of fully autonomous survival without needing to return to the surface. Here's some pictures of the interior. I mean, that's a bathroom, dude. It just looks like a regular bathroom. Freight elevator, I'm guessing.
Let me touch on that for a second real quick. When you're talking about, survival times and how long supplies last, you've really got to kind of dig down into that.
Okay.
Because what are we basing that off of?
True.
So it's like when you buy the survival food, your freeze dried, your MREs, whatever.
Patriots.
Yeah, looking at you for Patriots.
Right. Look a brother up, man.
Those usually, in what I've seen, goes off a very minimum caloric count.
Yeah.
Okay, just enough not to become emaciated.
Right.
And unfortunately, in a situation like that, you're going to have to become probably more active than you're used to, which means you're going to burn more calories.
You're going to need more calories.
For example, since we're speaking about for Patriots, I did buy some of their emergency ration bars.
Okay.
All right. They come in this little Mylar package. They've got a shelf life of like 5 to 10 years. And they're just these little lemon flavored, like soft cookie bars.
Okay.
And there's 9 in a package, and each one is 400 calories.
Okay.
So, and they say each one's like a 3-day. But 3 days, you're talking about, 3 times 3 is 9.
Yeah.
If I'm doing my math correctly.
Yeah.
So 3 bars, that's 1,200 calories.
Right.
All right. Yeah, 12.
Yeah.
12, yeah. So 1,200 calories. We're used to taking a lot more than 1,200 calories on average. 1,200 calories is just enough not
America,
to.
Dude. 1,200 calories is the appetizer.
That's like Big Macs. Have more calories than that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're supposed to live off 3 of these bars a day.
Yeah. Will it keep you alive Probably
in the short term. Yeah.
For the short term. I think that's
You know,
probably the best.
Are you going to live for a year off of these things? Not even close. You know, it is a lot of these, especially like the emergency ration bars. They're very high in calories, but very low in nutrition.
Right.
You know, they got the calories that you need to keep you going,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to be very deficient on vitamins, on, proteins, things like that.
Right.
It is a supplement to whatever you can forage.
Yeah, for sure. And it's another cool thing.
So when they say, 80 people for a year, I have to
you got to wonder where
I'd kind of like some more information on that.
And they provide it. But there's a lot there's a lot more here. And again, I literally just learned about this place. I remember the thing going up for sale, many years ago, and being like, man, I really wanted that.
Yeah.
But
incidentally, a hobby of mine is trying to poke holes in just about anything that sounds good.
Oh yeah, especially if it's like something to do with me. All right, so
no, he's not, and I'm not.
Yeah,
I do a lot.
Yeah, like this kitchen out, man.
Yeah. And this is actually kind of nice. It's one of the things that people don't think about when you're talking about one of those SHTF situations.
Look at this. Isn't this 80s tastic?
Is you think of these bunkers and everything's like concrete walls and stainless steel and very clinical. I like that they kind of put some human touches on it.
Yeah.
Make it feel less dismal.
Right.
Make it feel less desperate.
80s tastic. Right?
So,
very
oh my goodness, that's like Chernobyl diaries.
Yep.
But
this right here, there's an indoor, I guess food garden, whatever. It covers more of that, but this is just like one picture. Actually, regular toilet hole in there. This is the complex itself. As you can see, is deep underground. And this is what I recall. If it's the same place, it was originally built to hold Strategic Air Command in the event of a nuclear attack.
Right.
So it was massive and heavily fortified and really quite cool.
Yeah. Probably the nicest mausoleum you'll ever be in.
Right. Precisely. So here, the carpet, I don't know if you see it.
Oh man, that looks like it came right out of a Comfort Inn.
Yep,
what is this, La Quinta?
We'll leave the light on for you. Your little theater here. Nice little dining area.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
I'm kind of surprised at the size. Like for as many seats as there are, like I'm pretty sure I have a bigger TV than that.
I mean, space is a consideration.
Yeah.
When you're talking about like when essentially when the world comes to an end, your biggest problem isn't going to be, I don't have a 96-inch TV. Bitch, you got a TV.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're safe. You're underground. You're watching TV. Yeah. Come on, man.
You mean we got to watch Harold and Kumar again? Come on.
Right. But nicely appointed. I mean, like you said, there's actually human touches in this that makes it not quite so bleak. Anyway, it says spacious open living area with 12-foot high ceilings. Like a very comfortable 4-star hotel, this massive shelter is tastefully and comfortably furnished and decorated.
That carpet does not say 4 stars.
What?
That carpet does not say 4 stars.
No, it doesn't. Completely outfitted, fully stocked with food, toiletries, linens, medical supplies, a 1-year supply of fuel, a deep water well, NBC filtration systems, geothermal heating and cooling, bedroom suites, full-size showers and bathrooms, a theater area, dining area, lounge area, exercise equipment, kennels, a garden area for fresh vegetables, laundry area, abundant storage areas, ATVs, bicycles, tools, a workshop, security devices, and just about everything else that may be needed to ride out virtually any catastrophic event. You only need to bring your personal clothing and medications. We've thought of everything else. Far from any known nuclear targets, this shelter is also strategically located a safe distance away from the New Madrid fault line, the Mississippi River, and all oceans that might cause submersion as a result of a tsunami-type event. This site is also surrounded by excellent farming, fishing, hunting, and water resources. Vivos Indiana members include active duty and retired military officers, police, combat veterans, security experts, doctors, nurses, surgeons, psychologists, caregivers, nutritionists, mechanics, electricians, plumbers, farmers, lawyers, pilots, teachers, computer and internet professionals, chefs, as well as experts in hospitality, housekeeping, transportation, banking, finance, accounting, management, strategic planning, radio communications, and much more. Join this well-rounded group of like-minded individuals of all ages, and you will have one of the best chances of survival. Vivos Indiana provides an immediate solution for events that may occur tomorrow or at any time in our future. Learn more about this shelter, and you won't want to be anywhere else at the moment of truth. It says there are a few spaces available at Vivos Indiana due to member relocations and family changes. The price.
Yeah, so let's talk about the price.
Yeah, price is still just $35,000 per person for this fully turnkey shelter. This is ideal for a family of 1 to 4 people. Now, here's the interesting thing. Deep discounts available for people with special skills in this shelter. Contact us for more information. I want to show you one thing though. Where's it at? Because I think it might have been on this. Let's see. There's a group of people taking a tour of it, and it's the most dad group ever. It really is. It's just a whole bunch of dudes like us with baseball caps looking.
Well, you want to make it appealing to the everyman.
That's what I'm saying. Like I can actually envision myself completely in that group going, oh yeah. I mean, guys tapping the wall, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, it's absolutely. But I mean, stuff like this is just an example.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of other options out there. There are ones that they're like shipping crates, but they're fortified basically, and you just basically dig a hole in your backyard and you bury the thing. I mean, I don't know about those.
Well, shipping crates
don't make the greatest.
Shipping crates are not meant to be buried. They're really structurally sound, top to bottom.
Top to bottom. The sides are not structurally sound.
The sides are not.
Right.
No. Yeah, you've got to do a lot to those to keep the walls from collapsing in.
Yeah. That's the thing is, if you're gonna go with some sort of shipping crate or some sort of pre-built structure, make sure that it's solid and on the sides as well, not just the corners. Because they actually had this guy. He was a magician, and he got buried alive in this like plexiglass coffin or whatever, and it collapsed because of the weight of the dirt and whatnot. It killed him. I would hate for that to happen because you didn't have reinforced walls.
That's why a very popular design of underground bunkers is round, like a pipe.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I saw a show. If you look at these survival shelters that they built in Siberia and Antarctica, they're round.
Yeah.
They're almost like a tube.
Yeah,
and
it's exactly what they are.
Yeah, and they found that is like the most efficient, safest construction method. And they take very, very little insulation to keep them warm all year round. It was fascinating. I was like, whoa, that's wild.
Right.
So here's the website. If any of you guys are interested, but don't take my spot. Terra Vivos.
Like you have $35,000.
Right. Yeah, I wish. But terravivos.com. Yeah. TerraVivos.com/Indiana. Or just go to the base site and look around. They got them all over, I guess. Like I said, it's kind of like Vault-Tec. I just hope that they're not running the same social experiments.
Everything's a social experiment.
That's very, very true. Very, very true. So yeah, they're the ones that I've seen. Going back to the round survival things. Have you seen? I guess there's like actual spherical ones too. They make them like round, like a pipe or whatever, and then they actually have spherical,
like almost like a biodome, huh?
Yeah, yeah. But I wasn't able to find all that much information out on those. But the ones that are like a tube, those are highly effective. And they're still in use today. They were discovered like, I don't know, a long, long time ago.
Right.
Like 1910, 1920, something. They started building them that way. And they actually determined that it was far safer, better than the other designs they were using. And it's still in use today in the harshest environments around the earth. So, matter of fact, see if I can find no, that's anyway. Okay, so here's an example. The Atlas Safe Cellar. You heard of this one? Okay, so here's one that I guess they build it for you, it looks like. Let's see. 100% made in Texas. Home of the Atlas Safe Cellar. They got bomb shelter models. All right, so yeah, these are customizable. Factories worldwide. This was the one looking for. This isn't actually the one that I was.
Yeah, they all look pretty square.
Yeah, they look square though. On the picture that I saw before I clicked it, it was. Let's see here. Yeah, these are just square. This is not what I was. What I was actually looking for, but I mean, it is an option. This one is kind of really what I think of when I think of, functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not pretty, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. If beggars can't be choosers.
Oh yeah,
and
put it this way, it's a hell of a lot better than my crappy basement. You know, I mean, it just is.
Yeah, functional will trump pretty.
Oh, for sure.
10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I have no idea how much these are. No clue, but it is not. This isn't the one that I was actually looking for, which is fine. But there are no shortage of different kinds out there, different options. Let me see if I'm not able to find it, but if you look it up, wait. No. Especially like what do they use in like Antarctica or Siberia or Alaska? They're very just round and extend, and it's really interesting. I guess they get hot in the summer. Okay, how about instead of this, let's try this.
Well, I can imagine that all depends on how deep you want to make it too.
Yeah, well, these are out in the open. Um, okay, let's try. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time for this. I ran across it before, and I found it really interesting that they were so effective and useful, and especially given that the design hasn't really changed over the years. So they've got a lot of the ones that like you just see the top half.
Yeah.
But
well, it's one of those situations where if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. Let's see if this is. No, that's not us. Anyway, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna spend much time on it. But there are no shortage of options out there. But I would urge anyone. First, I would urge anyone who's even considering it to absolutely invest in what you think you need. Do your research. What do you need? Figure that out on your own. I'm not going to tell you, but a good rule of thumb is survival. You know,
right?
You kind of need food and water to survive. It's generally a good place to start. That said, it's very, very easy, especially nowadays, to get scammed or to buy inferior products.
Just to get caught up in the fever pitch.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You don't want to like sacrifice your today on the possibility of a tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? I think that's a really good point, because we may have an event, right, that happens, tsunami, whatever, right? But again, we may not. And if you're taking everything, for example, if you're taking everything your family needs to survive regular life and investing it into the possibility of some apocalyptic event that never happens, it's not a good way to live.
Yeah, you're gambling.
You're gambling. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a gamble. Now, on the other hand, if you have the ability financially to invest in survivability post whatever, absolutely, you're good on you.
Well, there's things that you can do without breaking the bank. You know, the most important thing is to get through the initial shock. And
a lot of people don't think about that. They don't really consider that. They think about long-term, like for example, the bunker, right?
Right.
The bunker in Indiana. Okay, great. I have a place, to go. Yeah. Well, you have to get there.
Well, it's funny because, by and large, more often than not, digging in long-term is not going to be a viable solution.
Right.
I mean, you can't prepare for everything.
Right. There's no way.
And once that something happens, no matter how much you've prepared for everything else, once that something happens, it's too late.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's done.
So
there's no more preparing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now.
And you may have to give up all those preparations that you made, and all that time, energy, money, resources have been wasted.
Yeah. Well, that's a good consideration, because a lot of the events, Katrina's a prime example, right? Because in the area with like the flooding, you couldn't stay there.
Right.
And Louisiana, there's a reason Louisiana doesn't have basements. There's a reason Louisiana, the cemeteries are stone blocks where they bury people, and mausoleums, because the bodies, when they put them in the coffins, it just rises to the top. The water, the ground is so wet and so
it has a very high water table.
Exactly. So in the event of something catastrophic, and you may have to leave
Mhm.
the area, whether it's a toxic spill, whether it's a widespread whatever.
And
right?
having 10 years of food in your basement and 100,000 rounds of ammunition
Right. Does you no good.
does you absolutely no good at all if you can't pick it up and take it.
Right. So then it becomes, okay, so how do you do that? How do you pick it up and take it?
Mhm.
And that's something that not a lot of people have thought about. They think about,
Mhm.
hunkering down, but
Yeah. And you may have to hunker down in the short term.
in the short term, right.
Let the dust settle.
Yeah.
Keep your head down and, or you may just have to get out right now.
Yep. And that's something if we were to ever face actual nuclear war, right?
Mhm.
Chicago is undoubtedly a target. Beyond a shadow of a doubt,
Yeah.
Chicago will get nuked in a major nuclear war type
Right.
scenario.
Well, not only Chicago, Gary.
Gary. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I was
Gary-
gonna say.
the-
A lot of
the-
people assume, Chicago, but they don't think about Gary, Whiting, these
Mhm.
other places because
Yeah.
they're Gary is the steel mills, Whiting is a massive refinery.
Mhm.
These are all infrastructure targets.
Yeah.
And while Chicago,
And there's some very serious there's some serious ports
Yeah.
all around Lake Michigan.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of commerce that goes on there. There's a lot of fucking things coming in and out.
Yep.
And that's a really good way to cripple a
Yep.
country.
Yeah. And if they have the munitions remaining, I think it's not unheard of for an adversary to potentially irradiate / poison useful farmland,
Mm-hmm.
right? At least in the short term.
Yeah.
Because
And water sources.
and water sources, exactly. So you may not necessarily be able to count on Lake Michigan
Mm-hmm.
in the event of,
Right.
because a lot of people think, well, Lake Michigan is right there. I'll just use my life straw and, I'll be good to go. I have unlimited fresh water.
Yeah, may not work out
It may
that
not
way.
work out that way.
Well, and even let's say that the lake doesn't become irradiated. Let's just say they, just blow these industries up
Yeah.
in Chicago and
Yeah.
Gary and whatnot.
Conventionally.
Conventionally.
Munitions,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, there's still going to be a lot of bad things that all of a sudden are dumped into the lake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something to keep in mind too, because look, let's face it, these industries aren't exactly the cleanest, and we have had issues with the steel
and
mills just
even-
under normal circumstances.
Right, and even all the safeguards that they put into place
Right.
to prevent that. Once they go bye-bye,
Yeah.
those safeguards go bye-bye,
Boom. Yep. Boom.
and all of it just seeps into the water.
Right. So not a bad idea to.
Let's
to
not
have some
forget.
ideas.
Let's not forget Cook Nuclear Plant.
Yeah. Cook Nuclear is in I think Bridgman, Michigan, and it's fairly close.
Mm-hmm.
It is not that far up Red Arrow Highway. Straight up the edge of the lake there. It's right there, and it's a prime target as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say this, and then kind of wrap it up. I would be a lot happier as far as paying taxes or looking at the government or whatever, right? If our government used our tax money instead of sending it overseas, instead of giving illegal immigrants freaking debit cards, instead of doing all that bullshit, if they would harden our networks against EMP, if they would install, for example, I'm not saying do this, but for example, surface to air interception in areas like that, right? Like by the nuclear plant, by the steel mills.
For all we know, that may already be in place.
It may be, but we don't know.
There's a reason we don't know.
Right. But at the same time, look at our infrastructure. And I'm just talking about, dude, I was in South Bend yesterday. I went to South Bend yesterday because I'm on a show coming out on PBS. I'm going to be on TVA. So I'm on Western Avenue, and there's a bridge. You got to go under the bridge, the light, right? And there's this just steady stream of water pouring through this freaking bridge. And I'm just looking at it. I was on my bike. Otherwise, I got a pic or a video of it. And I'm like, this is exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Our infrastructure is crumbling in this country, and we're fucking paying for illegal immigrants and foreign countries to shoot each other.
Well, let's remember
Seriously?
that the former mayor of that illustrious town
is
now
part of the administration, right? The fucking transportation secretary of all fucking things. Anyway, I'm going to stop before because I'm going to get wound up.
had to stir that pot a little bit.
You did. Thanks. Appreciate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to bring up something because I'd like you guys' input on it. Please tell me what you think. So due to changes in Jim's schedule, we're no longer going to be going live on Wednesday mornings. However, if you guys are established to watch the show on Wednesdays, what we are going to do is we're going to tape on Tuesday mornings and play it to go live on Wednesday. So we won't be able to respond to your comments in real time, but we can still respond by monitoring social media. If you guys would prefer, to go live on Tuesday mornings, let us know.
Yeah, what the 5 people who watch us on Wednesday mornings?
Right. Yeah. 5 to it's 15-ish.
15.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're viral.
Right. We're going viral. So we get a lot more views after, which is why I didn't think it'd be that big a deal.
Right.
But if you guys would prefer, if you want us to like just go live on Tuesday mornings, email talk@dionbergeron.com, and we will make sure to take that into consideration because we're kind of open to it. Either way, we have to tape on Tuesdays now instead of Wednesdays. So if you'd rather go live Tuesday mornings, let us know.
Yeah. If there's any topics that you want us to touch on, stuff you want to hear us talk about, or ramble about, or whatever.
Yeah. We're still,
let us know.
Yeah, we're still working out topics for future shows. So if there's something in particular that you want us to cover, by all means, talk@dionbergeron.com. And that's Dion with an I, Dion. So talk@dionbergeron.com. And you can also go now, we have dionsdailydose.com that you can go to. It's going to redirect you anyway, but it might be easier. Just remember, Dion with an I. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the United States of America.
Amen.
See you next week.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.